welcome back to Super Tuesday Recap. It's Kriss and Dpalm here, your hosts for the Super Tuesday Recap. Today we're recapping The Flash, Season 3, Episode 21, Cause and Effect. Barry takes desperate measures to stop Savitar, while HR keeps pressuring Tracy Brand to set a trap for Savitar, and Killer Frost has an interesting proposal. We got, after this one, 2 more episodes left. I don't think we had any new reviews, and I don't think we had any new emails, so we can jump right into this episode. And you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna start with this because I've been starting with it every time, but I want to get out of the way. I'm gonna spend less time on it than I normally do. I'm just gonna say, if you take out the pacing issues that they've had this season, just take every complaint we've had about pacing and just copy and paste that on. I'm gonna take the rest of the season. The last 3 episodes, including this one, just paste that same complaint I have on all of those because it stands here. Because I went and watched this episode this morning, and when I watched it, I was like, man, you know what? I'm okay with this episode, but damn, we only got 2 more episodes left. It just feels like...
So for me, this is the first one that I said that was the perfect place for this episode.
I can see that. Because
for me, we've been and we've actually talked about how dour and down this season had been.
Yes.
And you kind of feel like we're not feeling excited to see the final battle. We're feeling like fucking almost like kind of resigned to our fates.
Right.
This is what we needed, something to remind us what this show actually is.
And I guess that's what it is. I guess it's not that this episode was ill-placed. It's just that, man, I could have used some of this earlier in the season.
Yeah, we've been in the dark for a long time.
And I think that's what it is. And it's not that you can't go dark in the season, but you need to have those moments, you know? And we just haven't had these moments. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought that, I mean, on the surface, it's a filler episode, right? Because you take Wally off the board, you take Bear off the board pretty easily, but you give us this moment. And it goes back to, I can't remember what episode it was. It wasn't the one where he goes to the future. It was another episode that you kind of remind yourself of why Barry matters.
Right.
You know, and that's what this is. You get the hope. You get hope and optimistic Barry.
Which is the Barry that we remember. It's the Barry you and I have talked about, saying kind of been missing this season. I'm not saying they did it the right way, but it looks like it was done with a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Barry Allen we get in this episode when he loses his memory is Barry from season 1. It's the Barry Allen that drew everybody into the Flash and everybody going, man, this is the show that everybody's going to keep up with. This is a show that shows CW can really do these comic movies. That's this Barry. The Barry that is so innocent and is fumbling over himself and just has this, oh yeah, we'll figure it out. And like, it's almost to the point of it's sickening. He's the Barry that makes Oliver Queen angry. Because he's always so, we haven't had that Barry.
He's the Barry who got shot with arrows.
Right. Which
is still the funniest training I've ever seen on top.
Still the greatest training in the world. Like, just don't ever train with Oliver Queen, but also train with Oliver Queen. It's a catch-20. I don't know what to tell you, but like that is the Barry that even in for most of season 2, I would say it was the Barry that you needed, and they didn't go super dark until they introduced really got him to be dragged around by Zoom and really took him out like that. But this season it's just been, like I said, Barry's just been so down, and we just haven't gotten what we needed, and it's just, I don't know. It was good to see that Barry back. You know, just like when we went to the future and we saw past Barry being the bright light to future Barry and bringing the team back together. Like we needed that. We needed that. And it's been dragging down the entire season. Before we go further though, there's something I was thinking. I think I figured out what the problem is at the CW. And I'm going to predict that it's either going to be Legends Tomorrow or Supergirl that takes the brunt for this next time. The season's air actually still might be The Flash, to tell you the truth. The season that went, the 2 seasons that went down for Arrow were season 3 and 4. What happened in season 3 and 4? Season 3, you introduce the Flash. Season 4 was Legend of Tomorrow. Arrow took the brunt of. What you said?
See what you're saying?
Yeah, Arrow took the brunt of that. This season, they bring in Supergirl, and it just feels like, again, I keep going back to this episode, and everybody thinks it's because I hate Joey, but seriously, the musical episode, it was filler, and it was so late in the season, but it was there because you had Supergirl. So it's like the show, like I'm not worried about the show as a whole, but I just see like CW has to find a better way of not bringing down their staple shows.
I think it's a different situation when you have Legend of Tomorrow and The Flash, like literally being seeded through multiple episodes of a show than to say one musical episode.
No, you're right. You're right. And again, you could even say technically that this season of The Flash was also not just because it was more than that. They had another crossover with Supergirl. They had the big invasion crossover. Even that felt like, I don't know. It feels kind of tied to that. But I think also you can throw in Legend of Tomorrow because they had to seed a little bit of Legend of Tomorrow with Flash. So it just, I don't know. I feel like something happens where they throw their pacing off for one show to try to build up the other ones. And this season of the Arrow, if you think about it, has been pretty isolated from everything else and been doing its own thing, and it's been excellent. You know? So, I don't know. I maybe that's the problem there. I don't know if it is or not, but I hope they fix it because when you get it, when you get a show, when you get these shows focusing on themselves, they do fine. So going back to this episode, if we remove all the pacing things we've been having throughout this season, what you get with this episode of The Flash is what we've been asking for. It's what we wanted.
Yeah, but I think it goes less to facilitating other shows and more to the nature of the twist they had this year because the Savitar twist had to come so late. Like you can't do Barry early.
You can't. You're right. You can't. Yeah.
You can't because of the nature of the twist. It has to be late, and so there's and the twist is going to be the low point.
You know what? So go ahead.
It took so long to get to the low point.
And you know what? You know what? Maybe they should have done then. Not introduce Savitar so early.
You know that's where I couldn't agree more. Maybe if you switched up, if you'd have kept
Alchemy
being the even longer than the front half villain. But have him end up being a mini boss. Have him. You could have. You know they've done that in other shows before, where you think you've seen the big bad all season, and you realize, oh, that wasn't shit.
I mean, Agent Shield is all the time. You know,
it was a Buffy-like trope by season 4.
Right. I mean, so maybe that's what they should have done because, like I said, you dragged the Savitar thing out so much that
it was so slow to get to the low point.
Right.
The low point for Oliver happened 4 or 5 episodes ago when he was getting tortured.
Right. And even by then, you already knew who you knew who Agent.
The twist had occurred, but the twist was also like with Barry. The twist is so tied to the low point,
right,
that you can't and so while I think that for Arrow's story this year, the slow build back of Oliver is really important. I think that for the pacing of this show, it was actually a benefit to have them do the bounce back with this contrived brain wipe in one episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you just stretched it out like where Barry's fighting to come back, we've kind of seen that before in this show. I like the idea that he kind of got that hop back in his step without having to go through the long way of doing it.
No, I think that was great. Just go back. Beginning of the episode, we kind of get the complex explanation of who Savitar is.
First, we get the fight.
Oh yeah, well, we get the explanation.
Did we get the fight first? Because it picks up right where it ended from the last episode.
Right, but they're confronting each other talking, and so
okay,
and
sorry, I was thinking of Cisco's explanation. Sorry.
Oh no. So and Savitar's out of the Barry, future Barry's out of the suit. So they're talking, and he gives a very complex explanation of who Savitar is, which again if you're all in on the Flash and the convoluted nature of time travel and what they do here, it's fine. Like for me and you, I think this is fine. I kind of want to know what the average viewer felt though, because I'm gonna be honest here. I feel like they might have lost some people with this, and I
think they cleaned it up with the Cisco thing, but I'm curious to hear that too.
You're right. Cisco cleaned it up, but that opening I have in mind.
I was like, okay, I'm with you, but I could see. I definitely see how you could lose people.
I have in my notes. I was like, you lost a lot of people with that, because it's. I mean, I get it. I mean, it makes sense, especially when you put the time as a closed loop thing, because it's one of those things where Savitar is basically a future Barry Allen time remnant, but that time remnant is only created to stop Savitar. So it's like, again, the what comes first, the chicken or the egg type deal.
Right.
But the one takeaway I take from that is, and I think it's something that excuse me, that Savitar says is basically the rules don't apply to speedsters.
Yeah, the more you do it, the less the rules apply.
And I think that's pretty much all you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, okay, because that's what the audience is thinking.
Yeah.
We're all thinking, wait, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't fit with the rules. You're breaking the rules. Okay, wait, no. Hey, you're speedsters. Rules don't apply. Okay. Speedster rules. But it makes sense. Because if you're a speedster and you're constantly breaking time, and creating time remnants does that, then it makes sense that there's going to be some kind of craziness that goes on with that. And again, like you said, when Cisco goes back to explain it, it makes it more sense and it cleans it up for him. But I think there's another thing that the show has to be careful of. You never want to baby audiences.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't go too far with something like this. I go back to how, and we praise this, and I always use this show because it is the best comic book show on TV, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. When we've done all the time traveling stuff with the Flash, but that one episode where last season when
the Inhuman who could see the future.
Yeah, when Fitz explained what time travel, seeing the future,
it's not how it works.
And it was just like it literally was like he explained it like that, like an angry professor who was just fed up with your shit and just like, no, it's not going to work. This is why it's not going to work, and it shows and lays it all out.
You reminded me of the professor from Futurama. Me smart, you stupid.
Hey, you have to keep it. You have to sometimes dumb it down because again,
right.
We're here to watch entertainment. We're not here to be lectured to, and so, and especially when you have a show that deals with so many of these complexities, it's hard to keep track of. It's hard to keep track of how this stuff is going, and it's easy to get mad. I'm not gonna lie. When we first found out this is a future Barry, I was like, well, maybe it's a time remnant that he created when he stopped Zoom, and somehow it carried on. Like, there's so many different possibilities here, and the one they went with is I'm not gonna lie, it's the most complex.
I almost don't think so. I felt like it was the straightest line for me because it was like, in the future, you're going to make a time remnant to try to beat me. That remnant doesn't die and it ends up becoming me. It's a closed loop. Like he's his own. It's a predestination thing. It has to happen, and what Barry has to do now is to find a way to break that loop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought the first explanation was clunky. I thought Cisco really saved it.
Yeah, Cisco did the whole it's a closed loop thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cisco's explanation, just from now on, have Cisco explain shit. Yeah.
So that's Cisco's here, man.
Yeah, just let him do that. So, couple things when they again, it's the small attention to detail things that get me sometimes. So at one point in this episode, I think it's right when they wipe Barry's mind and doesn't remember who he is. they're like, "Oh man, we don't have a Flash in Central City." And I'm like, first of all, this is before Wally knew that he didn't have powers. I'm like, you have Kid Flash, guys. So there's that.
Yeah, but
okay.
Flash, you have Kid Flash.
Right, you have Kid Flash, but then I was also like, let's say you don't have Kid Flash, and they're like, "Oh, we need something, we need help, we need somebody to do this, blah blah blah." What's going on? Like, you guys just mentioned Jesse like an episode or two ago on Earth 3. You have a way of contact, like, and I get why they can't bring people on, but there needs to be some kind of explanation as to why you can't do that. So again, going back to the Wally thing, hey, later on when you find out that he doesn't have his powers because, well, Savitar forgets who he is and then therefore didn't give Wally his powers, that makes sense, but that explanation comes before, that explanation comes after they already started whining about not having somebody to protect the city. I'm like, but you have Kid Flash here. It would have been something for Wally then to realize, yeah, I'll do it, and then realize, wait, I don't have my powers. Again,
right.
Small things there. Then the other thing too is, again, you made a big deal out of being able to contact Jesse because you sent Wally to Earth 3 to go spend time with his girlfriends for some fuck ass reason. And now all of a sudden you're lost because you don't have a Flash on Earth 1. Well, contact Jesse. Like, it's just things like that just at this point start to annoy me because it seems like nitpicky, but they go to a larger issue of them not sticking to things they've done before. Like, they would never have done that before. In season 1 or 2, they would have had answers for those questions, and they wouldn't have done it that way. It just feels it goes to the larger thing that's happened this season with them just getting sloppy with details. And I feel like when you're having a show that is so detail oriented when it comes to explaining, how Savitar, they have this closed loop explanation for how Savitar was created. You can't drop the ball on something like this. This is just basic filmmaking. And I think what happened was,
I think
they shot it out of order, which they normally do.
They shoot everything out.
Yeah. So I think what happened was they shot the first scene, then they shot, and then they realized, and they didn't go back and shoot it. I think that's what happened, and that's fine, but it's happening way too often.
Okay.
It doesn't take away from my enjoyment of the episode.
I disagree, but that's okay.
Like, I just think I think I want them to tighten up for next season. That's all. Again, doesn't bring down the episode.
I think at this point you've hit a level of annoyance with the pacing that you're kind of looking for things.
Well, no, I don't think that's looking for things. Because again, remember, we praised them when they mentioned Jesse, right? We're like, oh, great, you guys are keeping that relationship going, because a few episodes before they had this whole thing with Jesse and Wally, and we're like, but you guys haven't mentioned Wally or Jesse in the same sentence.
Yeah, but it also wasn't like, at no point was the episode really in a crisis where they needed a Flash.
No, you're right. Well, but then they made a point of it though. That's my thing. They made a point of saying they needed a Flash. And
yeah, but it's like saying, "Oh shit, I need to get a spare in my car.
Okay,
I use my spare."
I got you.
But it's not a bust of tires is really a problem.
And again,
the answer is yes. As someone who's just done that, the answer is yes. Get a spare for your car.
And again, maybe it's just my annoyance with some of the pacing things, and I wish they would get their act together, but we'll see. But
what we were talking about is kind of like one of the reasons I really like this episode is because I know we're going to get to the plot in a second, but it felt nice to have the stakes lowered for a second.
Well, Iris says it. She looks at Barry and goes, wow, it's nice to... Basically, this episode, and I'm not saying that they fell out of love, but you basically see Barry and Iris fall in love again.
You see the why, which they've never really shown us.
Right.
It's always been like Barry's obsessed with Iris.
Right.
They show us the why.
Exactly. So you see why they fall in love, but then you also get the whole... Iris says it to Barry. She goes, it's just nice to see you when you don't have the weight of the world on your shoulders. Which is true.
And it was nice to see this show when it didn't have the weight. Because the show opens. Like, this season opened with Barry having broken time.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to put that back in the bottle. It's hard to have a lightheaded episode when he's like, that's literally the base of the season. So
I
think you're right. I think that that we've just been in the dark too long with the show.
We started in the dark from the beginning.
Yeah, we started in the dark, and we've never been able. It's been holding your breath the entire time. Because it just felt like a really good breath of fresh air.
Because even when he fixed time, quote unquote fixed time again, Iris and Joe weren't speaking. Cisco was depressed because Dante was dead. Like there was still like there was never
much weight to him. It was like Iris said, the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Exactly. We never got it. You know, you just never. So yeah, I mean, it was nice to see Barry just be awkward. Barry again. I mean, just like there was that moment when they go, hey, wait, does he really have speed powers or not? And they go to throw him something and he can't catch. And they just start comments like, that was horrible. Like, he's terrible at this. Like, he has no athletic ability whatsoever. And it goes, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me when we first met Barry on Arrow. Remember how bad? Like,
that's exactly what it felt like. The man from Central City. That's what it felt like.
Right. It was just, it had that feeling to it. And you see it. But then you also see why Barry is who he is, and that even when he doesn't have the skill set and to do it, he's always going to try to step up, you know, and that's what he does. Like when he's like, "Yo, I need, you know, there's this fire and we need to stop it." Okay, but you just learned your powers. You don't know how to do it. Well, I'll figure it out, you know, and they go from there. It's like, I don't know. It
felt like season one because so many times it's nice, and it's something you and I talked about this season. It's been kind of nice to have super competent Barry, who knows what he's doing. He's teaching other people, but at the same time, it was nice to see bumbling Barry, like the Barry who was having to have Wells tell him what to do. Who doesn't have all the answers. It was who we thought could screw up. It was nice to have that, not stumbling literally, but like stumbling in his boots as a hero, but he still had it in him to say, I'm going to do everything I can now.
And it was also nice to see the rest of the team have to make the tough decision and not depend on Barry. And what I mean by that is, and normally when there's the tough call to make, everybody pretty much relies on Barry. And even when Barry makes the wrong decision, everybody's kind of waiting for Barry to do something, right? In this case, they all have to make the decision to make the deal with Killer Frost, because they realize that, hey, we can just leave Barry like he is, and he's learning how to get his powers. And Wally's steps and goes, I can teach him. I can teach him everything he taught me. We can go from there. And hey, like I said, you can. I mean, if you needed to, you can bring Jesse in from Earth 3 and have her teach him stuff. You can go there and build him back up to being the Flash. But they realize that they can't do that. They realize that the city needs a Flash. The city needs Barry Allen to be Barry Allen. And so they make a deal with Caitlin that means that, hey, it puts Savitar back into play, and it puts Iris's life back in danger. But they all make that call again. And it was nice to see the team have to step up and make the tough decision that, you know, Barry has to make every time.
Right.
You know, so I enjoyed that. One thing I have in here is, and they really played through in this episode, the sense of family. Because you also realize that, and it kind of went the same way in the Once and Future Flash episode we had. Barry and the present day Barry gets the support of his family all around him. They come together to help him. You know, even down to that silly little typing the word cheating in court and literally committing a federal crime, right? And feeding answers to a prosecution witness, all right? That is a crime. That is not, you're not allowed to do that. But even not to do it.
Wacky Team Flash getting it done, Kriss.
Hey, and you know what? I like Wacky Team Flash. I'm not gonna lie.
It felt like a season 1 episode.
It did. Like I like Wacky Team Flash, but you see how they all came together around him. Basically, what Time Raven Barry says at one point is he didn't get that. He felt rejected. That he wasn't the real Flash, so they didn't embrace him. and that leads to him becoming Savitar. You know, Cisco goes with the whole. It's like the episode of Star Trek. It's just he's all your evil parts put into one. It's like that's what it is. But that sense of family is what drives Barry and what keeps him going. And we've now seen twice now in Savitar and in that episode of the Once and Future Flash what happens when Barry Allen doesn't have his family around him.
Right.
And that's what separates him. And you can go back to same thing. Well, not really season 1, but season 2 with Zoom, kind of same thing there. Not having that feeling the love and feeling loved and feeling that connection with other people. You see what happens, particularly with speedsters. They need that.
Right.
And so, yeah, I thought it was great. You know, I even have my notes.
And it really ties into like the larger themes of we've covered in like the character corners about Wally is the Flashes are a family.
Absolutely.
It's a it's a relay, not just a solo race. And they always like to, and that's one of the things they've always said, Barry always said about when Wally showed up in the comics is I was just glad I had someone to run with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Speaking of the whole thing of family, I think one of the we like have what they're doing with Killer Frost. One of the complaints about it though is this whole thing of so are her powers making her crazy? Like what is like we never really explained it. In this episode, I kind of feel like maybe what it is it's two personalities. And I think that's what they've been trying to go with, but they don't always nail it here. So what you have is you have the Killer Frost persona, and then you have Caitlin. And I'm assuming what Killer Frost is after from Savitar is a way to make the Killer Frost persona permanent. That's what I'm assuming.
Thor agrees. Thor, shut up. I think that while I think you're partially right, but I think it'd be kind of a cop-out because they did Magenta this season too with the dual personalities.
Was that this season?
Yeah, because it was a Savitar. She was a Savitar victim.
Oh, that's right. She was.
So I think, especially you kind of saw it where Cisco kind of jogged her memory and made her remember a moment with Ronnie and the team before the particle accelerator. I think that Killer Frost is more of a put-on. It's more of it's a turning into the Skid. Because she's still Caitlin. No, like she still reacts to that story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I think we may mention it last week where we feel like she's pulled her punches.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't know how far gone she is, and I think you are right though. Is that whatever Savitar's offering is a way to solidify this, if you will, he'll turn into the Killer Frost.
Right.
But I think she's more interesting as a character if you leave if you leave the temptation inside of her and don't make it an outside force, another actor. Make it Caitlin making these decisions.
I can see that. So do you think they keep her as Killer Frost? I think they have to, right?
They have to now because she's been spotted by the Central City Police Department.
Yeah.
She's been ID'd. That was the big thing about not taking her to the hospital, so no one would find out who she was. Now that she's been out and ice sliding around the city like fucking Bobby Drake.
I mean, you kind of have
people know.
Yeah.
Her life as a civilian's over.
Yeah.
Unless she's got one of those handy image inducers that Harry has.
So, again, this is not a complaint, but this is one of those things I noticed when they did the Once and Future Flash thing. He had his real face on the posters.
Okay, so are we seeing his real face? I'm like, is this on us?
Like at this point, I need them to address it just because I need to know what the rules are with this thing. Because I don't know. Like, is it anytime we see his face? So even if they put if they take a picture of him, and I'm assuming it's got to work that way, right? So if they take a picture of him, does the image how does this work? Like, I don't know. I'm very, very confused by how the image inducer thing works. But yeah, I don't get it. it's one of those things that's very crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about it ever since I saw the posters of him. I was like, well, wait a minute, wouldn't everybody know? Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's one of those ones. That's one of those ones where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm thinking too much. I'm gonna let it go.
What do you think of him and Tracy Brand?
I think it's being rushed.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
I think it's rushed, but I think they've got chemistry.
Oh well, and that's what I'm about to say. It's like they're so like it's so cheesy, but I'm like, they're corny. And so it kind of works, but it's just it's being rushed and forced, and there just isn't enough time for it right now. But like you said, they have good chemistry together. So it's one of those things that it's not that I don't want to see them together. It's just one of those things that, you guys don't have to nail that in this season. Keep it around for next season. Like, it's fine. Particularly if you're going to keep Caitlyn as Killer Frost, you need another woman who can actually pull her weight in the
replacement level Caitlyn. Like,
come on, let's do it. I mean, we're fine with that. So, yeah, I like it. It's just one of those things that I feel like they're being heavy-handed with it, but that's a CWY thing, and I'll talk about that with Agent Shield, but they just don't do relationships well or subtly, or they don't. They don't handle those well. So it's par for the course in that case, so I can't really be too mad at it. It's just one of the things I'm like, okay, we're doing this now. Okay, fuck it. Well, we're going to do it, go all in, and I think that's what it is. This episode, I like them together this episode more than the last episode.
I agree too. And I like that you kind of kept them both in their elements.
Right.
Where, like, they're obviously corny together and corny individually, but she signs corny, and he's always been like that outside the box corny, and I think it played off really. It was portrayed really well.
Yeah, and last week it made it seem like he was a stalker and just way too coming in way too hot there, Hot Rod. Right? It just, hey dude, hey dude, put it away. We're trying to stop Savitar here. This episode, it felt more natural. I mean, again, it felt a little forced and stuff like that, and a little cheesy, but it worked. Like their whole revolution. Oh, you like coffee? You handle things with coffee and caffeine too? Well, I do too. It's just like it worked. It did. It's CW corniness, but I'll take this CW corniness over some other things they've done. So I'm gonna allow it.
I couldn't.
Yeah, I'll fucking allow it. I was gonna say. Also, hey, love the fact that they come back in and then something that. It's so weird how they treated Caitlyn when she wasn't Killer Frost. Because how do we get Caitlyn seeming to be more needed as a scientist as Killer Frost than she ever was as Caitlyn Snow?
It makes no sense at all.
How did that fucking happen? How did that happen?
Right.
How did that, like I was like, wait a minute, Caitlyn doing science shit. Oh wait, but that's Killer Frost. Why is
and she was like, you probably shouldn't have done this without me. I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Someone else said it before too, like, Caitlyn usually do the brain shit. Like, I think it was Joe just like, you just build stuff. Like,
right.
Science.
Right.
I know what I'm doing. And then he wipes his brain. Which, by the way, for all the talk of continuity, the fact that Savitar lost his memory too is perfect.
No, absolutely. Yes.
It was an attention to detail thing, and I was like, well, that was the one I was like, tip your cap right there.
Because I wouldn't even thought about it. I
mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, of course he knows powers.
Yeah.
And of course, White lost his. Holy shit, this is brilliant.
Right. So, yeah. So, but then again, going with that theme, it's all part of the plan. Because it wouldn't even had to have done this before.
Well, if he hadn't even remembered, because it was the whole thing, like that was the whole point.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's next two episodes are going to be very interesting. It's going to be very.
We've shown that they handle time travel very differently than that Shield episode.
Yes. I know we normally don't talk about the previews of the next episode, but I mean it's no surprise that Snart is back. I'm wondering how they're going to handle that.
So I saw the ship in the background on one of the shots.
Okay.
Oh, all
right. If that's the case, then okay.
Like in one of the, I think it was like the second to last shot of the preview. They're like the woods or something, and there's definitely something with orange lights and it's big and silver behind.
Okay, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, if they're gonna get Snart, then maybe he runs back to get Snart at that moment, and then, like I said, it's got to be something like that, because it can't just be because Snart's dead. They haven't officially brought him back.
You know what else happened? The Legends broke time.
Valid. So hey,
There's a lot of ways to get there. I'm excited to see how they're going to do it.
Yeah, me too. Because I need Snart back anyway. So hey, I'm down for anything to bring Snart in. And so yeah. And look, you're gonna give me look again. It's kind of weird because it just feels like we're only 2 episodes left. But I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm bringing that issue up next week. But I'm gonna tell you right now. You're giving me a heist with Snart and Barry Allen, and there's King Shark. So I already know.
I'm very excited for that too. Before we get there, shout out to Dime Store Heatwave.
Yes, yes. Oh, and also shout out to them for Barry, who lost his mind, thinking to call himself Bart Allen.
Why not the Streak? Seems like a better name.
Right. I see you guys. That's nice job. So, yeah. Like I said, since the break, and again, I honestly think that when you string all these episodes together, and you take out a couple of the filler episodes, you take out the breaks and just watch them back to back, I think this season has been not the best, but it's a lot better than it's been. I think it's a lot better than it's felt. You know?
Right.
And like I said, it's not trash and garbage or horrible. It's nothing like that. It's nowhere near that at all. But I do think it's better. And again, I think these last episodes have been really, really good. It's just that the weight of everything else that's gone on in the previous season has hurt them. And it's just been so fucking dark. And so
it's been so dark, and that shouldn't be the show.
Right. And we've gotten some fun. You know, we've gotten some fun moments. I mean, even the Abracadabra episode, when you think about it, was dark because you had darkness with fucking Gypsy and Cisco. Like, it's just, like, the more and more I think about it, it's like, good God, we haven't had fun moments.
We haven't had fun yet.
This is the most fun we've had in a long time.
And even, like, seeing Wally, Jay, and Barry all together, Jay gets trapped in the Speed Force while he was watching his mother die repeatedly.
Right.
Jesus.
Right. Even that, it was just like there was nothing good. There's nothing bright about this season. It's just been so dark. And here's the thing: it's just darkness is not your thing. Like you can have put your character through the ringer, but you still got to keep that hope and awe. And the weird thing that got me about it is, we kind of had that last season. Remember when Barry gets back out of the Speed Force, he has his
upbeat and super positive.
Right, super positive, and then his dad gets killed. And then since that moment, we haven't gotten that. We haven't had that Barry since this episode. Once his dad dies, it's all downhill from there because they beat Zoom, and then he goes back and he immediately goes and creates Flashpoint.
He kills himself to beat Zoom, by the way.
Right. So it's.
And you know what? When you say it like that, I understand the downward spiral.
You say what?
Now that we've laid out the timeline, I'm like, you know what? It would take me a while to bounce back too.
Yeah.
Maybe it would take me a mind wipe.
You gotta just wipe all that bad stuff out of my mind and just go from there.
Like when you started loading it out like that, I was like, well, oh shit, you're right. That is I could see how that would get out of hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, well, if you think about it, I go back to and I said that last season when people were like, I can't believe Barry went back and changed time. I tried to tell people, it's like, well, you do realize he killed himself to stop Zoom. And so many people didn't get that, but I think that goes back to why it was such a gamble to make Savitar a time remnant of Barry, because a lot of people didn't understand what was happening with the time remnants then.
Right.
And so if you didn't understand the weight of what Barry did then, and again, we got it, but I think there were a lot of people who were fans of the show, who were watching the show, who didn't understand the significance of what happened when Barry beat Zoom. And if you didn't get that significance there, then this explanation for who Savitar is going to fall flat because it doesn't make sense. But when you really think about it, it's like, these aren't just copies of Barry. They are Barry Allen. Right. It is a Barry Allen. And unlike what Zoom did, remember last year, Zoom sacrificed time remnants too, but they agreed to it. he was like, oh no, he agreed to, he knew this was part of the plan and this was going to happen and he was fine with it. That's not what these time members really did, you know? So yeah. So, anything else you want to say about this episode?
No, that's about it for me.
All right, there you guys have it. 2 more episodes. I've changed some email addresses for because we switched over to mtrnetwork.net. So, and I don't think we got any for the Flash. I know we got several for Agent of Shield. But if you're gonna email us at mtrailerreviews@mtrnetwork.net. Don't use the movietrailerreviews.net one. Again, I'll still find it if you do. But it's way better and much easier if you email us at mtrailerreviews@mtrnetwork.net instead. So do that. Leave us a 5-star review. Go to mtrnetwork.net. We got a whole new redesigned site. It looks really, really great. I'm working on the store for us to get some cool stuff into the store so you can buy some shirts and some other cool stuff, some branding stuff we have out there. And then so you can subscribe. Super Tuesday recap. Remember, because we have so many episodes coming out, I still have to put the Supergirl episode up too, especially for a Super Tuesday. It's best to subscribe separately to the Super Tuesday feed than trying to get everything onto the MTR Network feed. Because if I put everything on the MTR Network feed, I kind of stagger them. So tonight I'll put up, this is Wednesday night, I'll try to get up Supergirl, and then tomorrow morning will be The Flash, and then at noon or later will be Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that's on the main catch-all feed. But if you do this, if you subscribe strictly to directly to this Super Tuesday recap feed, and not to mention we have a cool little logo there, so it looks really nice. You can make sure you get the episodes right when they drop. So I drop everything on those feeds all at once. Don't have to worry about anything. So yeah, if you want to get everything together, click on those feeds first, and you won't have to worry about them being staggered out there. So, and that's Super Tuesday recap. Same thing happens with Character Corner, but it's not as big because we don't usually do. You'll never get us doing 2 Character Corners in a fucking day because we're not that fucking crazy. So yeah.
See, and you know he says that now.
No. I will put my foot down on that. Dude, our Character Corner is at least an hour and no.
I'm just saying, I hope everyone remembers that statement.
No. I am stopping this before it starts.
One more thing. Thank you to everyone who got tickets to come see us at NegroCon in DC at RFD on the 16th of June. It's from 6 to 10, but if you didn't get a ticket, we're not leaving at 10. We're going to be at the bar drinking.
Yes.
So come fall through. Like, we're not. It's not like 10 o'clock. Close it up. Nah. Like, we're going to be around.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
come hang out. Yeah. Thanks for selling that out so fast, guys.
Yep. Be great. Can't wait. And like I said, if you didn't make it, I'm sorry. There are no more. People keep emailing me, asking me if there's some way. I'm looking to see if there's some way. But honestly, the thing is the venue, and we don't want it so packed in there that we can't walk around and enjoy ourselves. Like, I love you guys to death, but I still want to be able to like move around. But we are looking at doing some other things. I know we're looking at something for maybe, we can't really announce anything yet, but maybe around Dragon Con, maybe possibly. And I know I'm talking to Jeff about doing something maybe in New York for New York Comic Con. So we'll see. But look, because it's sold out so fast, this is just a test run, really. This is not the last. It's just the beginning. There will be more soon. All right. So.
And now we know.
Yeah, and now we know. So we will definitely have more space next time. So anyway, thank you guys very much for listening. And until next time, we're out of here. Peace.